Hi, it's Kiffin Bates here. Today I thought I'd talk a bit about something I've been looking at in economic theory, which I'm having real difficulty getting my head around, and also using it as an example of how sometimes you have to be willing to let go of your mental models in order to make progress in your understanding of technology or the world. I've mentioned in a few videos in the past that I have been developing this theory that no matter what system you use, whether it's proof of work or proof of stake or some other method, the amount of energy that is going to be burnt is going to be about 80% of the financial returns from mining a cryptocurrency, and that therefore trying to move from proof of work to proof of stake is ultimately going to be futile. Now, I'm not an economist, and I've been sort of dipping into textbooks here and there and trying to get an understanding of what it's all about, and I've realized that I have a mental model that I built up over the decades of how economics works that's just an amateur view, and I'm having difficulty letting go of it. So the thing I'm struggling with at the moment is the concept of marginal rent and what that actually constitutes. And I still haven't got to the bottom of it, but I feel this morning that at least I've identified that I have this problem. The last big time that I encountered this was when I had to start studying quantum electrodynamics at university, and having spent the previous decade doing all sorts of Newtonian calculations of points, masses on slopes and how quickly they'd slide down, or billiard balls bouncing off each other, I found it very hard to shift from this the world consists of particles and is one big billiard table, to the quantum dynamics view where you don't have particles anymore, you have these sort of waves. It just seemed counterintuitive because I trained my brain not to see the universe that way, and I was never very good at quantum dynamics because I had real difficulty letting go. I managed to pass the paper by memorizing the formulas and cranking the handle, but it never really sat comfortably with me until many years later. And I have a feeling that the same thing is going on here with economic theory, that there's just a part in the back of my brain that says this is all wrong, this isn't the way the world works. But I've only spent, 20 or 30 hours looking into this, not an entire lifetime. So one technique that I found very useful in the past is identify the fact that you have a mental model, and then be willing to throw parts of that away in order to understand what's really going on. Again, I actually had the same eye-opening experience when I first started looking at Bitcoin, and realized that I had the same view of money that my 10-year-old kid did. That it's bits of paper that you use to buy stuff. And I remember when I finally started looking at what M1, M2 and M3 are, that it really opened my eyes. And one of the side effects was when watching a heist movie where the criminals get off with boxes and boxes of dollar bills, suddenly it didn't look so exciting anymore, because I would just look at it and go, well, it's just paper. Anyway, what was the point of this video? Oh yes, the point of this video is that you come at the world with all sorts of preconceptions, and sometimes those preconceptions and models that you have are very good and very predictive, and you should cling to them then. But other times they let you down because they've basically led you up the garden path, and you have to be able to identify when your model is no longer helping you with predictions, but is actually restricting your understanding of what's going on, and be willing to let go and try and move on to a new model. And it's not an easy process. I'm thinking a bit here about Plato's analogy that humans are stuck in a cave, and the world outside is what it is, but we as humans can only see the shadows that it casts on the wall, and try and make interpretations according to that. And of course, many times those interpretations will be wrong, and we have to refine and develop them and throw them away when they fail us and adopt new ones. That's why my company ThinkLayer has a cave as the backdrop. If you go to thinklayer.com, you can see it's a picture taken out of a cave into a finished forest. Anyway, this is a bit more of a sort of philosophical musing video rather than anything concrete, but I do hope you got something useful out of it. Bye for now.